Hi everybody, I'm Dave Shady, Director of Division of Ag in the Alaska Department of Natural Resources. So today, first I want to apologize. Last week we had a really cool program about bees, all set up to go, got out there and it was raining, and we will not ever jeopardize somebody's hives. So we, at the last moment, had to cancel that program. So I really do apologize for that. It was not something at all that we wanted to do, but we thought it'd be really cool to see bee hives on top of buildings in downtown Anchorage. So maybe next year we'll be able to get out and do that. We're looking forward. We'll definitely try to do a bee Facebook Live, maybe from Fairbanks here later this month. We'll see how that works out. So this week I thought I'd give everybody a little bit of an update on some of the issues that we've been dealing with this summer. Because as you know, there's been some national level stuff that even Alaska's been involved in. So let's start with China seeds. Big issue in the news, still in the news. It continues. We've actually found that some of the first packets were received in Alaska as far back as last October. So this is a long-term ongoing kind of incident. We just really weren't as aware of it. We have now sent off 20-some packages to the USDA for them to do their bit of testing on that. So that's going to be pretty good. In our feedback call yesterday, 1,800 packets of seed have been sent over to the USDA from 46 states. 1,600 are unique seed specimens. And the bizarre part of that is that, it's different. It's not one thing. We would have expected that you would have been having some particular type of seed or some kind of a program that the brushing scheme would be a type of seed of that. We're not seeing that, but anyway, 386 have been identified by the USDA. 140 are from different plant taxa, from 136 plant families. Huge amount of varieties. Unfortunately, 3 have been identified to be federal noxious weeds. So we have things in there that we do not want in the United States. We have one quarantine pest, the larvae of a sea beetle. So while largely these have turned out or appear to be relatively benign, unfortunately we are finding noxious weeds and pests involved as well. My staff today told me that now bulbs with soil still attached have started coming in. Another really worrisome escalation that we see. So right now we've sent out samples, and the USDA is working on testing and germinating the seeds to test for plant pathogens. So we know that largely benign. We also know that there are invasive weeds. We know there are pests. We're suspecting that there may be some plant disease as well. So again, if you get these, send them in to us, give us a call. We're still doing the collection process, and it's real important that we continue to evaluate and help figure out where this is coming from, why, and the number one reason we're involved is to protect Alaska, to keep it clean and keep it safe. We do not need to have noxious weeds or any plant diseases coming in unbeknownst. Well-meaning folks doing that. So, like I said, continues. I wished I could say this is wrapping up, but it doesn't look like it's going to wrap up anytime soon. Further on that, let's talk a little bit about our food security micro grant program. That was something that was established in the 2018 Farm Bill. Here we are in 2020, dealing with the start of a program authorized in the 2018 Farm Bill. I know it's a little bit surprising, but that's where we're at. So the USDA has given the states of Alaska and Hawaii and our 6 territories until the 19th of August to apply for these grants. So we are finalizing our grant, and we'll put it in. So, sorry folks, this is a long time in coming, but it is almost there. We have literally had to wait for USDA to develop the program, set it up, get their OMB budget numbers, all that process. And I can assure you that I have been on USDA's back about this for quite some time. So It's going to be a little different than I suspected or understood from the intent of the national legislation. So the program is going to allow for $5,000 per year for up to 3 years for the micro grants for individuals, and up to $10,000 per year for up to 3 years for groups. So that means we are going to have a program with a lot of options and opportunities. And it's going to be set up to where we have, we're working to assure the maximum use and utility of this fund. So we know the number now. The number is $1,938,556. That's what we will have coming to us. Out of the $16,000 that was authorized, we haven't been budgeted that money. So we know that we got just under $2 million, and that's got to go statewide for all the programs. It's not enough money. We know that. I am going to work, we'll have a team, we will look, and so we'll have to focus these resources, and hopefully future funding will increase that. So what is my focus going to be? Well, it's a food security grant. And so what we're going to be looking at is the wise use of this money to help make different areas and different communities more secure. Some of the things that we know because of COVID, hey, look, production in our rural communities, we need to develop that. Storage in our rural communities, we know we need to develop that. Do we need that in some of our larger communities, even in Anchorage? Yes, there are needs in Anchorage. There are needs in Talkeetna, Cordova, you name it. I can name you a town and I can tell you about a need they have. So it's not going to go as far as we want it to go, but I have assured the congressional delegation, the governor's office, we are going to do our best to be smart and use that to push as much education and as much production out there as we can. I wished I had a final deadline. I don't. What I've been assured is the Ag Marketing Service of the USDA has committed to attempting to get us this funding, this program up by September 30th, the end of their fiscal year. So what I'm telling you is coming in October, we're going to be ready to roll this program out. So that's where we are. A lot of folks saw the grant notice and thought they had to get it in. No, that is for the state of Alaska to get our application in so that we can get that out to you. So happy to answer people's questions. We do that on a daily basis. So we'll set up, and it's going to be a pretty big program with not a lot of money to run it. So it's going to be tied in and run pretty efficiently, much like our specialty crop block grants, which is the design that the USDA used setting this up. Another issue we've been talking about, and I wanted to make sure people understand, we have an industrial hemp program. It went live in April, and I'm a little perplexed that people keep calling and asking if they have to get registered. You had to be registered on the 4th of April. And so we have, as a division, taken the approach, and we're going to help industry get started and get developed. And we've done that. So to date, we now have 25 retailers, 4 growers, and 1 processor registered. And that's really good, So we have the people that want to do it right. They're coming in, they're getting registered. We're going to be supporting them. We have 40 products endorsed, and that is products largely that come from out of the state, so they're being brought in. But it is a rigorous process for them to go through, get that product endorsed. They have to show us the testing. They have to make sure there is nothing bad in there. We've got the litany of things we've told people, that it doesn't have chemicals, it doesn't have solvents, it doesn't have the things we don't want in there. If it has THC, that is clearly labeled, and all the tests for the pesticides and pathogens that we require have been done. So it is quite a bit of work for these companies to get these products endorsed. And so we're comfortable. We have products out there on the market that have been endorsed. And so what I'm saying, folks, is if you go in and your retailer doesn't have their industrial hemp sign, or that label doesn't say endorsed by the Alaska Industrial Hemp Program, don't buy it. Go find the right product. And if we we are now starting to send out our enforcement teams. And if we show up, we're still friendly regulators. We'll give you a notice of violation and help you get registered. But there is going to come a day that more severe actions happen to folks that don't come into compliance. I don't like being a hard-nosed regulator, but it's part of the job. And if we have to, it is not fair, as I was writing back to one person here this morning, it is not fair that people follow the rules, take the time, spend the money, get the testing done, compete against people that don't. And unfortunately, folks, what we've found is some of the products that are out there on the market are not as advertised. They do not have the level of CBD. They do not have the toluenes. Or in the worst case scenario, they have something in there we don't want. They can have a pesticide or some residual solvents. And we really, really are setting this program up to protect the public and to protect the industry. So I just really, really want people to know enforcement starts now. And so if there's a problem, if you have a bad product, if you need to have a concern, reach out to us. We have the Industrial Hemp website set up. You can go in there, you can send it directly to us, and you can all the way call the director. I will deal with it because we will do equal opportunity applications and equal opportunity enforcement. It's always best to be working with us. You're working with us, we'll get you registered, we'll get your product registered. And that's the whole thing. We're working with AMCO, the Marijuana Control Board, for all of their people that are having dual jurisdiction products in those stores. We're working with the Department of Environmental Conservation and their food service program so that everybody knows that these products can be safe, can be used, but we need to do that process. And so I know I'm a little bit long-winded today on this and sounding more like the bureaucrat that some days I am, but I really wanted to let folks know that this is something we've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, both as a state government and in the private sector to make this work for people. And we really want to get this up and running. I think there is a huge international and lower 48 market as well as local markets. And so we really, really want to develop that. We have 60 acres outdoor production going. We have 4 indoor facilities that are registered and growing. So people held back this year growing food because we got a COVID issue. And we are really proud of our farmers that have decided to produce food and to protect our food security. And that's great. But over time, we're going to want to continue to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on and plug in my computer so I can look at questions and that. And what John has been doing for me this year and for the division is we've got him going around the state working with all our different programs taking pictures. So we're going to pull up some pictures and we're going to talk a little bit about the pictures and what we're doing because we've been out doing seed potato inspections, other farm field inspections. We've been out doing cool audits, making sure what you're buying in the store is actually what you're buying. And a lot of really cool programs that we've got going on from our soil studies out at the Plant Material Center to the hard work we've been doing eradicating elodea out of different lakes around the state. So John, you want to pull up some pictures and I'm going to see if I can get me up for my comments and questions. I always have trouble finding my comments. Sorry about that, folks. I am hard work we've been doing eradicating elodea out of different lakes around the state. So, John, you want to pull up some pictures, and I'm going to see if I can get me up for my comments and questions. All right, that would be great. So, the first picture up is, I'm still trying to get this speaker to shut off. There we go. All right, So this is a picture of Mia Kirk. Mia is our fantastic ag inspector. She's one of our leads and is our potato expert. And what we have here is a field of seed potatoes that she's out looking to see if there's any problems, looking for pathogens, any kind of disease, because these are going to be the potatoes that start out and are sold for people to grow their own potatoes. So we start these farmers out with seed that has absolutely no pathogens, no viruses, no bacteria. It is absolutely perfect seed. They grow it up, they sell it to the producers, and so then you go in to the grocery store and you buy Vanderweel Farms potatoes. They have been grown up from seed stock. And so it is really one of our really great programs. We literally keep these varieties. I think we have 267 varieties that we keep in tuber form. We go out, we grow. I think at the foundation, at the Plant Materials Center, part of our foundational seed program, we're growing 160 varieties this summer. So every year we roll out these varieties so that if we have a problem in vitro in our test tubes, we actually grow the potatoes. We verify they are what we want them to be, that they are actually what's on the box, and so we keep that. So we are one of the national seed repositories for the country. We're unique in that we're the only state that does that. Otherwise, it's USDA and university facilities. So we're quite proud of the fact that as a division, we get the honor and the privilege to do that. This next picture is a really neat story in that we have some ag lands up north that we're looking at whether or not need to be offered. And so the gentleman in the back is our land sales rep, Mo, with the long beard there. And so what he did is we took and worked with FFA, NRCS, the university, and the mining, land, and water folks, and we made a field excursion for students with all the experts and actually went out and looked to see, is this land appropriate for ag sales? And well, it worked. So what you're seeing is they were digging the soil pits for the soil scientists to look at that soil, and at the same time helping the kids understand what are all the different factors at how you determine whether land's going to be sold, what is the soil's good for, how's it going to be used, some of the marketing, the scientists, the soil sciences, the entomologists, all the different kind of people, the surveyors, all the different folks that are working on this project. So it was really great to get 7 and 8 students out, and they did it as part of their summer program. The state FFA director was up there. It's something that we're looking to make sure that we keep ag in the schools through FFA, support those programs, support the fairs. I mean, this is an integrated system. And so this was a huge opportunity to get everybody together and to make sure that people could see that, the kids that are our future workers, our future leaders, understand that some of these farms start just like you see here. It's grassland, it's forest land. And, some of that should be in farms and some of it actually should be rangeland, and then some of it shouldn't be farmed at all. This might actually be wetlands or something really important to the environment, and we keep it in that status for the wildlife and for our hunting and fishing opportunities. So, we're a multi-task agency to where we support all the other units of government in our expertise, whether it be mining, oil and gas, for reclamation purposes. So this was a huge win, a huge opportunity for everybody to work together in this time of COVID, where you can get out and you can't have your indoor meetings, but you can spread out and work with people. And so we have a pretty robust travel protocol that we worked through, made sure everybody was healthy, and then went out, did our distancing and our masks when we were in our vehicles. So, GPS coordinates. I mean, it's now high tech, folks. We don't do things the old way. We're out there. We're taking samples. We're looking at what we're doing. So this is a picture of one of Casey's plots out at the Plant Materials Center, I believe. So you're seeing he's checking the soil. So what we're doing here is over the years we're saying, what are the crops that we grow going to build soil health? And so we look at the environment. He's got a little weather station there. And so over the years, what we've been doing is we've been planting crops and seeing what different crops improve the soil so that then the farmers can have the right rotation for Alaska. Because what works in the lower 48 is not necessarily going to work in Palmer, not necessarily going to be the same thing we do on Delta or out in the Bethel region. So what we do is we work with our plants, some of them native, some of them we brought in, which are traditional ag, trying to come up with the best mixture. So here we are taking soil samples, looking at that. We've seen the results, and in this fall, we'll get some pictures and we'll come back and show you the differences in the potatoes. We actually are using a magic mollies to be exact. And what we do is we go and say, well, how does this potato produce after X amount of a cover crop? And I was out there, I got to spend a day helping dig potatoes. It works. You can tell that some of these work better than others. And there were a couple that we were like, well, it didn't seem like it worked too well. So again, this is what we do. This is science at work to support ag industries around the state. So this is, believe it or not, an alfalfa variety. It's called Denali, and it was developed by the university researchers in Fairbanks along with the Plant Material Center in the 80s. And so over time, we've been trying to figure out, and believe me, when I say over time, as a kid in the 60s, we were trying on our own farm, trying to get alfalfa to grow. It is difficult to get the lower 48 varieties to grow. What do we have here? We have the Denali variety, an Alaskan variety, that we've successfully overwintered 3 years now. And so there are trials going on out at the Plant Material Center and around the state. So Rob told me just a little while ago, it's about time for our second crop. And so, you know, we'll see the nutrition value, we'll look at that, but for the first time that I'm aware of, we have a variety that shows potential for Alaska. Some issues are going to be on how do we get seed to grow from this, so we may actually have to contract out that seed to be grown out of state because we don't have the kind of bees, the cutter bees that we need in state. And I'm not the entomologist or the agronomist, I'm a market guy. But it's pretty clear that if we can make this work, there's a huge market for alfalfa in Alaska. And so it's pretty exciting that we actually have a variety in test stage that in at least some scenarios around the state will work. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing from the agronomists, that it's something you need to be able to keep your snow cover on. Areas that don't have snow cover, it doesn't seem to do well. But there's a lot of places in Alaska that we have snow cover that will work. So we have a few locations, we've got multi-years in. It'll be fun to see how this continues to work. And I'm sure we're going to spread out and do some more test plots around the state because of the preliminary results looking pretty exciting. What do we have here, John? That seed to be cleaned? Yep. So this is our seed house. You know the good news? We're already cleaning seed from the 2020 year. So it comes in bulk, and so you got Rob there and Jessica Sandvik, one of our staff members, who she keeps that machine running day after day. And so we processed everything for 18, everything for 19, and we're already processing 2020 seed. And when it's processed, folks, when we say it's processed, that means it's sold and out in the field. And so our reclamation projects are using Alaska variety seed in the location, so we're not spreading invasives around the state. This is a huge economic driver for the state. It's an industry. It's us supporting not only agriculture and our farmers, but our mining industries, our construction industries, and our oil and gas industries. So, I mean, this is what I call a quadruple win. It doesn't get much better than that. And again, we started out, you saw some pictures of the field, of the potatoes growing in the field. This is the start of those zero generational potatoes, which we grow in our greenhouse in a absolutely virus-free, pristine environment. I don't even go in that unless I've been able to get decontaminated. It is a really cool thing. So Christine is our microbiologist who literally will make sure these have no virus, no pathogens of any side, bacteria. We take these test tube babies, we grow them into little potatoes, and then out they go. So every around December every year, people come in and they say, hey, I want these varieties. They make their order. We propagate them up out of the test tubes and grow them up in the pots. And then the next summer, we have them ready to sell. And then they grow them up and they sell them to the public. So this, one of the things that I try to let people know is this is a multi-year process. Agriculture is multi-year. It is not something that happens overnight. And so, we as a division are really working to increase all the seed production we can to make sure that when things hit because of COVID next year, we're going to be ready to go. So we are already trying to increase our output. We're making sure that we have everything available. Storage is a huge issue around the state. So we're working with everybody to increase our food resiliency. So this is they're out there and doing that. So we got started a little late. Dan has been spending his summer in Alexander and Sucker Lakes, Big Lake, mainly in the Matsu because that's where the huge infestations are. We've spent $600,000 plus on herbicides. We are out there killing this aquatic pest. Elodea is really, really bad. But there's some great news. We found that the diquat, which we put out last year to knock it back while we could get our other fluoridone and some of our processes figured out, we had an 80% kill rate in Sucker Lake. We expected 20 to 30%, according to staff. And so what we're finding is some of the processes, we're building protocols. I said, staff, let's build a northern protocol for killing elodea because people have been putting pesticides, or I should say herbicides, into the lakes trying to kill this stuff, and sometimes it works and it doesn't. So we're figuring out the science. We're out there, we're figuring out what it takes to get the job done. And people say, well, it's just killing another plant. The protocols are written for warm water. They're written for lower 48. So yes, we get protocols from the manufacturers. What we're finding is we have to adapt that a little bit to our unique environment. That's why we have these great staff that are out there. We're looking at what levels have to be used to make the process work. We're also finding that in some of our bigger lakes, we can't keep the herbicide in that location at a high enough concentration to kill the plants that we want to kill. And it doesn't kill the other things. It's just we can't get, we can't do the entire big lake. We don't want to put that much product in the lake. So the staff's working on some innovative screening and ideas to come up to where we literally can quarantine or cordon off this plant, and then the fluoridone pellets, like you're seeing here, can go in there and it'll work long term to kill this plant. So it's a two-step process we're finding works. Hit it hard with the diquat, which burns the top of the plant. Fluoridone goes into the root system and finishes it off. So as you can see, there's ways to get it out there. So we're in boats. We have sprayers. We have nozzles that shoot it out there. There's a lot of acreage we're out there trying to get covered to make this happen. So we're trying to get pictures. We're trying to be able to write the reports and make this happen. So, that's where we are. We're out there getting the signage out there. We're trying to get people to understand, look, folks, please make sure we're not spreading this around. We're going to be spending a couple of $1 million getting it out of Alexander and Sucker Lakes. The cheapest way to solve a problem with an invasive is not have it in the first place. And so, that's what we're trying to do, trying to show you some really cool pictures, but we're also trying to educate the public at the same time. A couple things to finish up. I know we're running a little late. We were asked by the USDA to go over and to participate and make sure that the food box program is working well. And so the Alaska commercial stores were selected. We went out there and have a few pictures. We're getting food out into the rural communities that need this food. And, the store is doing fantastic. I know we have Charlie's Produce supplying under that program to the Rail Belt food banks. Two great companies, that got contracts under the USDA. So we're out there making sure that the product going out is good quality product and is being safely handled. So you can see Mia there in the center doing an inspection of that produce. So that's what we do. So, we do go into the stores. We go into the retail establishment. Sometimes we go into wholesalers and we make sure that the products are clean and free and marked as described. So it was really cool. And, we were going to try to do the Facebook Live on top of the building and show you the bees. As you can see, they're on the building, but it's raining and wet. And so, of course, we're never going to open up a hive and cause damage to that hive. And so next year, hopefully, we can show that. But as you can see, agriculture is everywhere. It's downtown Anchorage. It's all the way in Bethel. It's up on the North Slope and in the small villages there. Some of it is agriculture where you're using native plants and propagating that. Some of it is traditional agriculture. It is animals. It is livestock. It's all around. It is a $40 million a year industry that we're going to continue to grow. And so with that, I really want to thank you listening to me drone on today. But hopefully the pictures are kind of cool, kind of gives you an update of what we're doing. And so as usual, if you got questions or comments, reach out to me, reach out to the staff. We really want to make sure that we're helping drive agriculture